Show me what democracy looks like!
They came out in defense of national parks and small businesses, public education and health care for veterans, abortion rights, and fair elections. They marched against tariffs and oligarchs, dark money and fascism, the deportation of legal immigrants, and the Department of Government Efficiency.
Because Trump is a traitor. He's betrayed this country. He's betrayed our government, and he's betrayed our people. He's betrayed our allies. He's sold us out. He's a criminal. Get him out now. Grow a spine, Congress.
Demonstrators had no shortage of causes as they gathered in towns and cities across the country on Saturday to protest President Trump's agenda. Rallies were planned in all 50 states, and images posted on social media showed dense crowds in places as diverse as St. Augustine, Salt Lake City, and rainy Frankfurt.
This doesn't even come down to left and right. This is about what's right and wrong. There's nothing that can stop Trump from doing whatever he wants. And it's like the people who should be saying, hey, you might want to think about that, or let's get it thought about by the right people. He's like, no, fire those people.
While crowd sizes are difficult to estimate, organizers said that more than 600,000 people had signed up to participate, and that events also took place in U.S. territories and a dozen locations across the globe.
I'm worried about patient safety, keeping the high quality of medications and sterility in manufacturing, things like that.
Hands off means restore what we've had as a democracy. And so it's being touched in the most dangerous ways. In fact, when we were making our poster and we were saying what to have hands off, we had trouble limiting the list.
On Fifth Avenue in Manhattan, the protest stretched for nearly 20 blocks. In Chicago, thousands flooded Daley Plaza and adjacent streets, while in the nation's capital, tens of thousands surrounded the Washington Monument. In Atlanta, the police estimated the crowd marching to the Gold Dome State House at over 20,000. Mr. Trump, who was playing golf in Florida on Saturday, appeared to be largely ignoring the protests. The White House did not immediately respond to a request for comment.
Is under attack, what do we do? Stand up like that! When human rights are under attack, what do we do? Stand up like that!
Meet several people here today that are in our age bracket, like over, I will say senior citizens over the age of 60, who are completely freaked out about the potential of losing Medicare benefits, Social Security benefits.
Some of the demonstrators waved American flags, occasionally turned upside down to signal distress. Many, especially federal workers and college students, did not want to speak on the record for fear of retaliation. Right-wing slogans like "Stop the Steal" were co-opted in defense of Social Security, medical care, and cancer research. In Washington, D.C., thousands of protesters gathered to watch speeches by Democratic lawmakers.
Our founders wrote a constitution that does not begin with "we the dictators." The preamble says, "We the people."
If we are quiet, if elected officials are quiet, then we are complicit.
Donald Trump and Elon Musk are trying to roll back 6 decades of civil rights progress.
I'm afraid to say to Donald John Trump, hands off Medicaid and Medicare. It belongs to our seniors. Social Security is not a Ponzi scheme. It is a part of the American dream that belongs to our seniors. And we have to tell President Trump that Canada is not going to become the 51st state.
Many remarks focused on the role played in Trump's administration by wealthy donors, most notably Elon Musk, who has served as an advisor to the president and spearheaded an effort to dramatically cut spending and the federal workforce. Protesters voiced their discontent over the administration's sweeping executive actions and the restructuring led by Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. The reforms have resulted in the elimination of more than 200,000 federal positions and significant reductions in benefits, particularly within the Internal Revenue Service and Social Security Administration.
So I feel like I'm being an asset just by representing what I feel like most of us are feeling right this moment, which is that liberty is burning. And we're all out here burning in the sun to do something about how we're feeling the country is going.
We stand today at a crossroads in history where tyranny and corruption tighten their grip, and we are left with a choice: to rise up or to surrender to a corrupt regime hell-bent on remaking America in its image.
This is our country!
In roughly 60 days, we have seen our rights to free speech and protest trampled.
Many said they were most worried about the economy and their retirement investments, which have dwindled in tandem with Trump's tariff announcements.
Starting tomorrow, the United States will implement reciprocal tariffs on other nations. It's been a long time since we even thought of that. But we will charge them approximately half of what they are and have been charging us. So the tariffs will be not a full reciprocal. I could have done that, yes, but it would have been tough for a lot of countries who didn't want to do
Trump
that.
says the tariffs will help jumpstart U.S. manufacturing, promote U.S. goods, protect jobs, and ultimately create more of them.
China, first row. China, 67%. That's tariffs charged to the USA, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. So 67%, I think you can, for the most part, see it. Those with good eyes, with bad eyes. We didn't want to bring, it's very windy out here, we didn't want to bring out the big charts because it had no chances.
He has urged Americans to wait out the initial market volatility and price increases. Trump, who shook financial markets and upset nations around the world with a raft of trade tariffs this week, spent the day in Florida, playing a round of golf at his club in Jupiter, before returning to his Mar-a-Lago compound in the afternoon. Some 6 kilometers from Mar-a-Lago in West Palm Beach, more than 400 demonstrators gathered on a sunny day in protest. Drivers hooted in support of the pastel and khaki-clad demonstrators as they passed by.
I think there's strength in numbers, and someday the message just has to get through to them.
More than 50 nations had reached out to the White House to begin trade talks since Trump rolled out sweeping new tariffs, said top officials on Sunday as they defended levies that wiped out nearly $6 trillion in value from U.S. stocks last week and downplayed the economic fallout. On Sunday morning talk shows, Trump's top economic advisors sought to portray the tariffs as a savvy repositioning of the U.S. in the global trade order. They also tried to minimize the economic fallout from last week's tumultuous rollout, ahead of Monday's expected bumpy opening of Asian stock markets. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said more than 50 nations had started negotiations with the U.S. since last Wednesday's announcement, putting Trump in a position of power. Neither Bessent nor the other officials named the countries or offered details about the talks. However, holding simultaneous negotiations with so many countries at once could potentially pose a huge logistical challenge for the Trump administration. It is not clear how long such talks would last. Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te on Sunday offered zero tariffs as the basis for talks with the U.S., pledging to remove trade barriers and saying Taiwanese companies would raise their U.S. investments.
In the face of reciprocal tariffs from the U.S., Taiwan does not plan to impose counter-tariffs. Investment commitments in the U.S. economy will remain as long as they align with national interests.
Trump jolted economies around the world after he announced broad tariffs on U.S. imports, triggering retaliatory levies from China and sparking fears of a global trade war and recession. U.S. stocks tumbled by around 10% in the 2 days since Trump announced a new global tariff regime that was more aggressive than analysts and investors had been anticipating. Analysts and large investors blamed the stock market drop on Trump's tariff push, which most economists and the head of the U.S. Federal Reserve believe risks stoking inflation and damaging economic growth. Subscribe to online community KE today. Stay informed.